I really don't like this sketchbook. I don't like the paper. So how's about we just paint over the entire thing? Maybe that will help, right? First things first, I need to remove this tape. These are all from the scene series where we paint movie scenes, and then I like to keep the tape. And I'm always planning to reuse it, but I can never find a use. So I stuck them all on this sketchbook. Washi tape can be reused, but it's not as sticky as it was before. So you can see there's more on the back too. I'm just using sandpaper and scratching up the surface a little bit. This will give the gesso something to stick to. But really, I have no clue. I've never done this before. The closest I've ever done is when I painted on the etcher cover, but that was kind of canvas and I just filled it with watercolor, just random blobs. This is a little bit different. For the cover of this sketchbook, I'm planning to put art on it. I want to make it look pretty. I want to make it look like something that we can reach for because I don't like this sketchbook. This is the Canson mixed media sketchbook. I've since got the watercolor one and it is much better. This one just it's not nice. The texture is odd. So after a few layers of gesso, I think we've got a good surface. We need the cloth, probably gonna make a mess, and I'm reaching for the acrylic gouache. Mostly just because these are new. And you know what it's like when you get new art supplies, you just want to use them. But this isn't the color palette I'm going for. Most of the colors are gonna be in here, the bigger, bolder set. Oh, I do love those pastels. I have been using them a lot straight from the tube, and this will keep things interesting. So we're setting up and it looks like I've got a really good plan, which I do. There's a little bit of a plan, but this is a very experimental piece, as you'll see as we go along. We've got a cover, we've got acrylic gouache and a paintbrush, and there is a little bit of a plan. I made this very simple sketch of a face, but it's very surreal. It's kind of abstract. It's a side profile with flowers. I don't know what colors we're going to use. I don't know how realistic it's going to be. I don't know what style we're doing this in. I don't know if I'm gonna blend it out. I don't know if we're gonna do it in block sections. This is experimental and I'm bringing you along with me. You get to see all of the twists and turns that my brain makes as I make a piece like this. I'm even using a rainbow pencil for the sketch. That's how random this piece is gonna be. But you know what? We've got the face down and I think it's ready for paint. Are you ready? Are you ready to give this a go? Because I am not. I've made a stay wet palette, kind of. And first we're going in with that background. And if you've been watching my recent videos, you'll know that I mentioned that I would like to do the 100 heads in 10 days challenge again. I actually did it ages ago, like a couple of years ago. And then I did the entire thing in one day. So I wanted to make this one a little bit different. And I suggested to you guys that I was thinking of doing 100 celebrities instead. And you guys really seem to like that idea. So I'm going to attempt to draw 100 heads in 10 days. They're all going to be celebrities. And if there are any celebrities that you would like to see me draw, pop them down in the comments below. I mean, there's 100 that we're going to be doing, so I should be able to do every single one of your requests. I'm also going to make a post and I'm going to pop it in the Discord server so that hopefully you're all going to be able to see. So yeah, just comment below any celebrities that you'd like to see me draw. And I'm going to be doing the 100 heads challenge again. And hopefully there'll be less problems than last time. Last time I filmed the entire thing on my phone and ran out of space and it kept crashing and it was awful. But this time things are smoother. I've actually got 2 new cameras that I didn't have then. And I'm thinking this time is going to go a lot better. I mean, the filming setup is so much better. I've now got an overhead camera. The mount is stuck to the wall, as you can see. And last time I never had that. I kind of leant my tripod in front of me and had to balance around it, and it was a nightmare. So I have higher hopes this time. I think it's going to be a really fun challenge. I'm going to use lots of different mediums. heads, but stick mostly to drawing. I did a lot of painting for the last 100 heads and that was crazy. Really what I want to improve this time is my drawing skills. I haven't drawn that many people. It's only really been for the character design series. So I want to get back in the swing of things, and I think that's a pretty good way to do it. So back to the painting. As you can see, things are going a little bit crazy. The skin tone is red. The hair is blue. It's all looking very bright. I mean, I said that we weren't going for realism, but this has taken it a little bit too far. I think the biggest struggle right now is the paint is really watery. You can see the mint green background is lovely, and I mostly use the 4 fun pastel shades, and I don't have this problem. So every time I pick up the acrylic gouache, the expensive Holbein acrylic gouache, I think it's gonna be opaque. And every time it surprises me that it isn't, because it's quite pricey. But I guess the pastel shades are more opaque because they have white mixed in, and some colours are just naturally not as opaque as others. Still, I was kind of hoping that that would only be 1 or 2 colours in this 12 set and not every single one. You can see that they are all quite transparent, so already I am struggling. I'm trying to layer some leaves in the background. Really should have looked at a reference for this, but I didn't have much of an idea going into it. I knew it was going to be a person. One thing I have been doing a lot lately is completely forgetting in the sketch and planning phase to think about colour. In every single character that we created inspired by a star sign, I didn't actually map out where the colours were going to go. I did on a couple, but the majority of them I went to draw the person, especially in the later ones, and I didn't know what colours we were going to use. I had a basic colour palette, but nothing was planned of what colours were going where. And that's kind of exactly what happened here. So in a ton of events, I'm reaching for one of those pastel shades. We need some opaque paint. The green is not, but it's not too bad because it is in the background. But I think if we add some flowers on top, it might bring this piece together, and the pastel shades are the best way to do this. One thing that I'm not a huge fan of, especially with acrylics, is mixing the shades that I need. We're now having to do that. We're now having to mix this light blue shade that's virtually white, but I'm not a huge fan of doing this, and that's why I've been really leaning towards the acrylic markers lately, because you could be in the middle of a painting and then just run out of the color that you need, and that's something that really put me off using acrylics to begin with. And it's what I love about watercolor and gouache, because like, yeah, you can run out of the color that you need, but you can also just mix far more than you need because it can be reactivated. And acrylic gouache is like acrylic in that it can't be reactivated, which is good in some ways because I added a lot of these colors quite thick, and if this was regular gouache, chances are the blue hair would now be mixing into the red skin. But everything that's below is completely set in place, which means I'm trying to layer on top. You can see that I'm trying my best to bring this piece together, but I don't know what it needs. I'm experimenting as we're going along. This is my hand just going for it, and I've kept the majority of this video as lots of little time lapses so that you can see the whole process. I guess this is how my brain thinks. A lot of the time videos can look quite polished in the way that they're edited, and it's very much like, I'm doing this, and now I'm doing this, and now I'm doing this. And I think we see a lot of that on YouTube, but there are times when you don't really know what you're doing, and this is one of those. So I decided to keep it as mostly a time lapse, just so you could see the entire process. Even when things went wrong, you can kind of see how I adapted as we're going along. Like the bright blue wasn't working with the red, that was really clashing, and the green background was just a little bit plain. So I think these flowers are going to really tie the piece together. Sometimes when you need to make a piece a little bit more cohesive, the best thing to do is to use the same colors in different areas. So the pastel pink in the flowers is a little bit on the skin as well. The pastel blue in the hair is also on the skin. The red of the skin is also on the flowers and now a little bit in the hair too. So the only thing that isn't in the foreground is the green, but the flowers are helping. Still, I don't think you're prepared for the direction that this is going to go in very shortly, because you can see I'm just adding layers and layers, and there is more definition. It is coming together, but it's not what I was looking for. Something just isn't right. Something isn't clicking with this piece. I must say though, I think the highlights have really helped define the hair a little bit more, add detail to the face, and obviously I added some cute freckles. If you're ever not sure about a portrait and the direction it's going, sometimes freckles can really tie it together. If it's a little bit patchy, if the anatomy isn't quite right, if it seems a bit boring, just add some freckles. It really works. And I think it's really helped in this case. But now, are you ready? Because I have an idea, but I don't know if it's going to work. And this is something that I've done before, particularly in this big sketchbook that I used a lot in my first year on YouTube. There's a very particular style that I absolutely loved and was obsessed with, but I haven't really done it since. It's this, a loose, flowy watercolor portrait with a white Posca on top. I then made this one in a similar style, and then I made two others with a little bit less line work, and these ones in particular I think are my favorites, and it's this one in particular that we're using as a reference. So I'm reaching for that white Posca, which isn't actually a white Posca anymore. I kind of filled it with acrylic paint one time and it kind of clogged a little bit, so I don't recommend that. Still, I'm trying to make it work. There is some paint coming out and I'm following the same system as last time. The biggest thing that I want to emphasize are the highlights, so that's what I'm aiming for first. I also love the idea of following around the eyelashes and the lips and defining the highlights through the lines. And this is either gonna make or break this piece. Honestly, I'm curious, do you think it was better before or after adding the line work? After you see the end result, I would love to know which one you prefer, because I'm still a little bit torn. I'm still on the fence and I'm really trying to make this white Posca work, but you can see every time I press down, this huge dollop of paint comes out. So I was dabbing it onto a piece of paper and then trying to use it like a paintbrush, and it was a whole drama. It was a nightmare. And I really tried to do this for a long while before caving in and reaching for the acrylic marker instead. The reason I didn't really want to use this one is because it is quite thick in comparison, and some of these lines would have just been a little bit too big for things like the eyelashes and the nose that need a little bit of a finer tip. But I think it works absolutely fine for the background, for the leaves and the flowers and the hair. But this is one crazy style, and the very final step that we need to do is seal it in, because this is the front cover to a sketchbook, which I kind of forgot. I did kind of forget that this is going to be the cover. I don't know what happened to this decoupage lid. It kind of fell apart, but we can't be wasting any. And I've just poured far too much onto the page, so I guess it's time to finally seal in this cute little box that we made in the collab with Cassie, and also the cover of my partner's daily doodle diary. There is far too much decoupage that's fallen out. But now that's all sealed in, it's time for one final look. This is one crazy page. I mean, look at it up close. It's crazy. Thank you so much for joining me today, seeing the process of me experimenting. Remember to comment down below any celebrities you want me to draw, and I'll see you on Thursday. Bye bye.